been a while, but it really hasn't. It's November 7th, so it's kind of like, it's been 7 days. Probably less, because I think we checked in on like day 3 or 4, but, you know, there's been a lot going on, so.
Yeah.
Well, I checked in with you guys, I think last night or the night before. I was literally curled up on the couch. I had my hood on. I was a mess. So I had to share a thought while I had it, but I'm actually making a lot of progress.
You are?
I'm at I would say halfway-ish. I'm at 182. So chapter 24.
I'm proud of my progress. Look at that.
Hey, there you go. You're making
I've hit the halfway mark. But I told this in my private one, but it felt, and I think I told you this privately too, but this feels like a game of chess. And I feel like that book is going to be checkmate, where everything comes to a big collision. It feels like it's building to like the Battle of the Five Armies, The Hobbit, or like the battle for Mordor, right? And the end of The Lord of the Rings. Like, it feels like this huge battle that we're like building to, and there's like tiny little battles that happen.
I love that kind of stuff.
And I'm like, it's building.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how they're going to do this. And that concerns me, because everyone says that final book is brutal. And I'm like, I'm not ready for that.
Well, on my side of things, I like Vincent as a written character. I think he's written very well. I'm just seeing a lot of red flags. I told you about this, and I may have mentioned stuff in my check-in. And then I like the conversation she's having with Rain and showing that they're working together. And the last chapter was pretty much just like a summary of their training. No, wait, hold on. Maybe it was. Yeah, and just kind of a summary of showing their training. I did think that a lot of, like, it was chapter 23, I think. I did think a lot of it was like summarized, but I feel like the plot is trying to move forward. So sometimes we writers just gotta summarize things and kind of move things forward. I just wanted to point out that there was a lot of telling, oh, we trained and we did this, instead of like expanding those into scenes. But sometimes you need to skip and it's not necessary. So it kind of depends where the plot goes from here. There was some dramatic things that happened that really got to me. I don't want to spoil things, but the trial, the maze trial, the ending, you know what I'm talking about. My heart. And the thing is, the way what that put her through emotionally, and how it kind of led to this spiral of things, really hit hard. That hit me hard in the chest. So,
it's going to get worse, and I'm so excited for you to react to it.
And then the revelation from Rain, I remember texting you, like, he's da-da.
Yeah.
Gonna speak in code, because I don't want to spoil things. So yeah, I'm really into it. By the time I get done in the evenings, I literally lay down on the couch. I'm reading averaging about 20 pages a night, and I start falling asleep. And it's not that the story is boring, it's just my brain is like winding down, and I'm just like done. So yeah, like last night, the night before last was the election, so I clearly didn't get anything done. So last night I had to play catch up, writing a bunch of stuff to catch up where I left off.
Well, you had issues with your internet after the storms that we had too, so it was like several.
Just say
it's been a week, so that's just how.
Can I just point out? Well, actually, I found out it wasn't the storms. These idiots at T-Mobile. No offense, because I love T-Mobile as our service. They decided to update the towers and take them down on election day. What idiots decide to do that? So I'm like, of all days, luckily we have our home internet from US Cellular. So the problem is I had to keep it on the TV, and I can't bring my computer. Like I tried to bring my computer over there and write a little bit. I got like 63 words. So I was like, this isn't working. But I hand wrote 747 words in a notebook.
Hey, there you go.
So I was like, I got to handwrite. It was dumb, and I hated it. And I was like, I'm going to give up on writing. This is the worst writing I've ever done. I'm not a terrible writer. So I had this whole breakdown. No. But then yesterday, I took what was there, and I like added more at the beginning, and then at the end, and expanded upon it. It went from 747 to about 3,000 words. I was like, okay, it's fine.
That's awesome.
I just had a breakdown. It's okay.
Yeah. So. It had been busy. So yeah, like.
Yeah, but basically my point was, because I had to play catch up yesterday, I had to edit 4 chapters of The Heart of Christmas, which I am making progress in it. I don't have my book with me, but I am making progress in it. And so because of that, by the time I sat down yesterday, I was only able to do like 20 pages, which I wanted to do probably less than that, because I was at page 69 or something, 160 something, and I'm only at 180 something. So I was like, I wanted to do more, but my brain just kind of starts falling asleep. But yeah, The Heart of Christmas turns out it's really easy for me. So it's like every other night I can do 4. I'm trying to do 2 chapters a day, but if like a night I can't get to it, it's so simple to just add 2 more, because they're only about 1,000 words a piece, which sounds like a lot to some people, but they're just, and there's not, I don't know why I thought it was going to be this terrible book that needed a lot done to it. And it's also actually really good. So it's been really easy. So that, which is another book on my TBR list this month, just because I didn't think I was going to actually make an effort to edit it, but I'm making progress in it too. It may take me all of November, which I wanted to get it done soon enough for the audio book narrator to potentially get started at it, but that's kind of murky, so we'll see how that goes. But but also, everybody watching, we have some ACOTAR talk. We want to talk some theories for ACOTAR a little bit. So we got to get some talk, since this is now our podcast officially. I'm so excited to be doing this. The second Tuesday of every November.
A name for it, but we're gonna figure it out.
I don't know, Storyteller's Corner or book. I don't know. We'll think of something creative. Y'all have suggestions in the comments below. All right,
and we'll have to tag the creators that like the podcast that I heard this from and that I shared. I can't remember their names, but we'll have to tag them below. We'll have to insert like the link to their videos or their channels.
The link will be it. So go watch that video if you guys are ACOTAR fans. Yeah,
and I'm like, but it essentially said, because the first ACOTAR, Court of Thorn and Roses, ACOTAR, like the first book 1 is very plainly, at least I thought it was supposed to be set up as like a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yeah,
and so as I go through, and then I'm like, this seems, it just like, I don't know. The first book felt kind of lackluster, and it's like you have Tamlin, who, and it turns out not being like, spoiler alert if you've never read the series, turns out they don't actually end up together. And she ends up with Rhys, which I love Feyre and Rhys together. They were meant to be together. I firmly believe that Tamlin is not a horrible, horrible dude. He is dealing with his own trauma, and we're seeing 2 different people with 2 different types of trauma that are just, it's a prime example of a toxic relationship. Neither one of them were good for each other. And when you have 2 people that aren't good for each other are there, it doesn't end well. Because Tamlin, the only way he knew to keep her safe and to deal with his stuff that he was working through was to shut her in and keep her contained where he knew it was safe.
Yes.
Feyre couldn't handle being kept locked in places because of her own trauma. So it's like, it's just
a bad idea.
and I've been dying for Tamlin to have a true redemption arc. That's what I want.
Please, Sarah J. Maas, if you ever get wind of this somehow, give us a
I understand that does not excuse his trauma and all this other stuff, does not excuse the crap that he said in, was it Mist and Fury, when they had the council meeting and he was full on talking about like noises she makes when they're intimate, and I'm like, dude, why are you saying this at like a political meeting? Could you imagine like a presidential like a president and like the people in his cabinet saying random things about the partner's sex life? I'm like, can you imagine in real life this happening? That would be atrocious. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What is going on in your brain for you to think that that's okay? Like, I get it that she completely destroyed your kingdom and like,
I mean, it was
completely dismantled like any amount of trust your people had in you. I get that, but I'm like, that would be like, it doesn't excuse those actions. He needs to own up and needs to fess up and he needs to apologize for that. And he needs to apologize for his attitude and his actions. Like that's,
but the theory though.
Sorry, I rambled for good like 5 minutes there, but I had to get all that out.
By the way, just to clarify,
in order to get to the theory, I had to get all this other out. But what they're saying is, they're like, what if, because it mentions that Tamlin is kind of roaming, he barely goes into his human form anymore, he roams around like, he's like roaming around in his beast form, and it's like, what if was it Elaine? Is that her name? Am I saying that right? Sorry, it's the one sister that I'm just not a huge fan of.
Yeah, you're good. It's Elaine.
Remember her name. Elaine, what if she is meant to be Belle that saves Tamlin, the beast? And what if Feyre was meant to be the enchantress that turns him into this beast? And I'm like, yeah.
Because when you think about it, for anybody who hasn't read ACOTAR or anything, she literally, after Tamlin did what he did, and there was a bunch of other stuff, she literally went back to court with him to try to bring it down. And so there is an aspect, and everything that he's been through on his side has caused him to be in this beast form now. So it makes sense that she could fulfill the role of the enchantress. And by the way, I just want to point out that when reading the series, I've often, when I was reading A Court of Silver Flames, I'll have a link to my review here. I thought, because Nesta, when she went to visit the Spring Court, she mentioned Elaine would love it here because she's all about flowers and everything. And I've often thought that she would be perfect for Tamlin. But it's kind of,
you and I have had this discussion privately before too.
I just missed the thought because it's setting her up with Asriel, and her actual mate is Lucian. So I don't know what's going to happen here. But I did have that thought. The thing. I want Elaine and Tamlin, please. Like, I like them. I like the idea.
The thing is, why would Sarah J. Maas allow the characters to have this discussion on, because in one of the books, because I read them so close together, I went from one to the other that I can't tell you which book it's in. But in one of the books, it mentioned Sarah J. Maas has the characters talked about, like Reese, I think it was Reese talking to Feyre, may have been in book 2, about how sometimes Fae will get married and choose to be with people they're not mated to. And then make a point of she makes the point of mentioning that. And I'm like, and I'm trying to get into the point of like a writer's brain, even though that's not my brain at all. But I'm like, why would you bring that up in a story if you have no intentions of having at least one of your main characters or one of your side characters develop that kind of relationship? Why would you bring that up if it's not necessary to the main characters or the direct side characters that they're interacting with?
Yeah.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
It has to be relevant. Here's my concern, though, is I think it's setting up her with Asriel, which would still fulfill that. I'm choosing somebody that's not my mate because I don't know. I don't like
Asriel is so cool, though. I feel like she's so plain for Asriel.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. That's probably a controversial opinion, but I'm like, I don't want her with Asriel. I want Asriel with somebody else.
Asriel deserves better. And here's another thing. I've heard some theories, you're going to call this crazy. I don't remember where I've heard it, but I've heard some people mention that she may have 2 mates, and the 2 mates may be Lucian and Asriel both. And I don't like that either.
That's more of like... I saw that as more of like a fan fiction-y type theory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I unless somebody could give me like quotes and like moments in the series that back that up, I don't know. I
don't think so. Because Asriel would have known by now. Like, it would have come up before now. You know what I'm saying?
She would be a perfect fit for Tamlin, though.
She really would.
I'm sorry. That's all my brain is thinking at the moment. But
why would she have Nesta bring that up, too, in the Spring Court? Oh, Elaine would love it here. Why would she bring that up if it wasn't going to be relevant to the plot either? And then the other thing is that Tamlin, a lot of the mistakes that he made with Feyre, some of them were the fact that he just wanted somebody to be, that he could protect, that he could pamper, and it wasn't Feyre. That's not who she is. Elaine is that kind of person. She needs somebody to protect her, to pamper her, to kind of give her this peaceful life, and she can just frolic in the flowers all day. And that's the kind of person that Tamlin needed in a spouse, and that's the kind of person that Elaine is. And so I feel like that's where I'm getting my Elaine would be a better fit for Tamlin than Feyre kind of thing. Because he just needed somebody to pamper.
Feyre has always been, she's a very independent person.
Yeah.
She was the person that stepped up and did a lot of she's the one that took the initiative to go out and make sure that they were fed, to make sure that they had meant to go out and hunt, to sell, to get money. She was the one that went out and took the initiative and went out and did a lot of things. So she is probably one of those characters, one of those siblings that was forced to grow up too early and is very independent. And we've kind of talked about like family members that have been in those situations before. And so you have people that are like that. Feyre seems like one of those characters that's like, she was forced to grow up. She didn't really have a childhood, and she was forced to grow up very quickly. And like having that kind of personality and being that type, because it is kind of becomes your personality. You've grown up too fast, so that just kind of becomes who you are, is that more mature person, more independent person. And it's like, when you are that type of person and you have someone like Tamlin who wants to be a protector, who wants to be a
provider, like, I would say, a protector and a provider kind
like,
of. Yeah, it just
it's
well.
like you
I feel like Feyre she needed a purpose beyond that, and that's why ruling the court with Rhysand is perfect, because she has a duty, she has a job. He's not just he does protect her and he does provide for her, but she has a purpose outside of that, whereas Elaine doesn't step up, she doesn't do anything, she never did back in the day either, and so her purpose would be to be pampered by and be protected by her mate or whatever, her guy.
See,
and that's the kind of person that Tamlin needs.
Well, and even when she was with Tamlin, she was always asking questions of like, I don't know if I can handle being queen. And it's like, and he's like, well, there is no high lady or whatever, Well, I forget how they worded it. But like she wanted to be in that position, like even like she didn't really want to at the time, but that thought was always in the back of her head of being that equal person. Yeah. And when and Tamlin, he's not the type of person that wants a partner that way. I don't know, or I don't even know how you would word that, but it's like the way that the court is set up in the Spring Court, it seems like they don't want a female ruler, and so it's more like hardcore traditional, I guess, is how I would describe it. Yeah. And so he doesn't necessarily want somebody like that, and again, Elaine is not that kind of person, so that's why I'm like, she would be perfect for him. I just worry that that's not Sarah J. Maas's game plan for Elaine, and that's what worries me, is because I don't know if she's gonna actually do this kind of plot line that apparently more than just me and you. I thought it was just a me and you thing, but apparently other fans are wanting it too. Again, shout out to the original people behind the video. We'll have a link in the description below, since we don't remember the name of it, because that was an interesting video. So, but yeah, as for check-in for November, I'm just really hoping to get through my TBR list this month. It's going really slow, but I feel like I may be able to get it done in time to maybe read one more book. I don't see myself being able to get to the whole TBR. But we'll see what happens. I am really into this book. And the bad thing is, it's getting me into a fantasy mood, and I may not be into military romance anymore. Oops.
Also,
I do this to you. I'm sorry. This is partly my fault. I do this to you. Yeah. And then it's like,
but I have bought that series, so I'll come back to it eventually. I also forgot to tell you guys, I'll be right back. I have a book that came in. I pre-ordered this hardback because it looked gorgeous and it was about a fantasy male gladiator. All right, you have me sold. So I pre-ordered it, but then it got delayed. And I forgot about it. This has been 2 years ago. All the stuff that randomly came in. Yeah, I'm gonna go get it. Oh. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, it looks pretty.
Yeah, so there's the sprayed edges. There's the back. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And then the interior. I can't remember what this is called, but it's basically where the back of the book has the illustration too. So isn't that just gorgeous? Man, this smells like new book.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me see. Oh, that's pretty.
The edges and the front cover.
What is this called?
Bloodguard.
Oh, what's it about?
A male gladiator. Okay. I'll read you the blurb.
If you haven't picked up on this yet, I am one of those disastrous readers that judges a book by its cover. I know that's like a sin in the book world, but that's me. You can't change me. I'm sorry. If it has an ugly cover, I am not reading it. And that is a very gorgeous cover and a very gorgeous book.
Yeah, okay. So everything in the Kingdom of Arrow is money. Alive.
This is bad. I can't be buying more books.
I know. Everything it's at Walmart. I saw it at Walmart. Okay, I'm just saying. 100 years, 10,000.
Did it have the pretty sprayed edges?
It's the exact same copy. All right, 100 years, tens of thousands of gladiators, and today only one will rise. Everything in the kingdom of Arrow is a lie. Laith of Grey thought coming to this new land and volunteering to fight in the gladiator arena, vicious, bloodthirsty tournaments where only the strongest survive, would earn him enough gold to save his dying sister. He thought there was nothing left to lose. He was wrong. And they took everything. His hope, his freedom, his very humanity. I was like, I'm sold. I don't even need to read the rest. I am absolutely sold. All Laith has left is his battle-scarred body, fueled by rage and hardened from years of fighting for the right to live another day. Then Laith meets Knave, an elven royal who is everything he desires, everything he should hate or everything he despises, not desires. Everything he despises, everything he should hate until the alluring princess offers him the one thing he loves he needs most, a chance to win the coveted title of Bloodguard and his freedom. But in a kingdom built on secrets and lies, hope doesn't come cheap, nor will the ultimate revenge. I'm just like, yep, you had me. I'm sold. But and then the hardback cover itself is just, I can't get this to stay back. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It is. But yeah, I was like, yeah, he was wrong. They took everything, his hope, his freedom, his very humanity. All Laith has left is his battle-scarred body, fueled by rage and hardened from years of fighting for the right to live another day. I was like, that's it. You got a gladiator. They took everything from him. I'm sold. So I may replace...
Okay, so you do realize... I am to the point where I'm about to pre-order the next book in the series you're currently reading, because it comes out later this month.
Yeah.
But I also have 2 other books that are pre-ordered for next year, and now you're showing me this one that I have to buy.
But my point is,
Pokemon video games that I was thinking about buying. This is bad. I have so many books and video games on my brain at the moment. I'm like, I gotta quit spending money.
Yeah.
Like I am on a teacher salary. I gotta stop.
No,
I don't get paid for another few weeks.
Yeah, but the thing is, so my point is, I'm thinking about, we had one wild card. I'm thinking about switching this out with the military romance as my wild card. But here's the thing, talking about money, I bought that entire military romance series. Like, it's not as expensive or long as the other one, so I'm not out as much money, but like, I gotta read that series. You know what I mean? So I'm like, can I justify swapping it out? Because I'm so excited to read this book as soon as I get this done. And it seems kind of gritty. And then on top of that, I found another book today on Amazon. And it was like a Facebook TikTok reel. Not TikTok reel, but like Instagram reel. Where... she was reading Court of Mist and Fury, and it said, I thought I was a Resand girl, and then it swaps the book out for something else and says, but I'm a... And then it has the guy's name, which is a long, drawn-out name. And so I was, like, curious as to why readers think that he's better than Resand. So I looked up the book, and I read the blurb, and I want the book.
It looks good. Oh, that reminds me, there's another one. I took a screenshot.
I dropped my water.
Let me find it.
Let me pull up the title of that other book because it's
okay. Bad. We're just going to share books that we've noticed now. This is just a little bit right. Okay, it's called. It looks like an indie author because she only has 199 ratings on Amazon and like 300, roughly almost 400 on Goodreads. But it's called To Bind Fire, and I saw an ad for it on TikTok, and I'm like, it looked good. I'll have to send you the link to the video.
Hannah, you got
I know. So it's like
your revenge,
and it has a dragon on it. It has dragon on the cover, and it's a pretty cover.
Oh man. I sent I sent a free sample of that book onto my Kindle. What am I doing? I can just download the sample.
This one?
No. Well, of the other one I was talking about. Because I was like,
okay.
Sorry. The reel
like,
where
what?
she was reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and it was like, I thought I was a Resand girl, and then the book switched out and said, but I'm a this girl instead, and it was a new guy. And I read it, and it's like a gothic story, and this kind of gives me some gothic vibes. It's like the same sort of vibe, you know what I mean? Okay. Anathema? This book here. It's reflecting really bad.
Oh, okay. I see it. Yeah. Oh.
We're gonna download it. My eye was like so close. Sorry that you guys had to see the close up of my eye, but unless you're listening to our podcast, because there's a podcast now. Yeah, okay. Anathema by Carrie Lake. Oh, go back. I didn't give you permission to do that. It's being stupid. Let me go this way because my computer's reflecting it. That's better. Now you guys can see it.
Ooh, that is a pretty.
Yeah. So, Anathema by Carrie Lake.
I am so bad at judging covers, but see, that's where it's like almost for the free Kindle days. I'm always scouring through there, but it's bad because I'm a cover judger, and I'm a cover buyer. Not always.
Most people are. I was
like 90% of the, and you know me so well. If the cover is cool, I'll read the blurb. If the blurb is catchy, I will buy the book.
That is how most people work. Don't be sorry.
It's a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1 deal. That's how I am. And it's like
from a reader herself. She's not an author. She's a reader. So any authors who are listening to this podcast, that's why your cover and your blurb matters, because that'll hook them. All right, here we go.
I am a stereotypical book buyer. That's just how I go. Okay.
All right. Only the banished know what lies beyond the woods. There are whispers about what lurks in the witch knell, the forest where sinners go to die. The villagers call it the eating woods because that what's taken is never given back. Only those who've lost their senses would dare go near it, or the banished. Mavis Bronwick knows better than to breach the misty labyrinth of trees, but a tragic turn of events compels her beyond the archway of bones, to a boundary no mortal has crossed before. One that cloaks a dark and fantastical world as dangerous that it is alluring. It's there that he dwells, the cursed lord of Indolin, the one tasked to keep her hidden from the magehood that seeks to crucify her in the name of arcane prophecy. Zavander, that's his name, Zavander Redan,
a cool name.
Zavander, known to his prey as the Scorpion, is the coldest, most calculated assassin in all of Arathia, and he'd sooner toss his feisty ward to a pack of vicious fire drakes than keep her safe. If only he could. Mavis' blood is the key to breaking his despised curse and vanquishing the slumbering evil in the witch knell. Unfortunately for him, fate has other plans for the irresistible little enchantress, and his growing obsession with her threatens to destroy everything, including himself.
I think the beginning part of that sounded familiar, so I think you may have read me the blurb before, but
maybe you read it on your own, because I just discovered this morning.
Oh, I may have read it.
Yeah, you may have read it then.
It might have been on... Maybe it was, I don't know if it was on one, maybe it was like one of the free Kindle days.
All I know is that there are people who love Zavander more than Rhysand, and I need to know why. That's the whole reel. It was like the whole joke. If I can find the reel, I'll play it here as a clip so y'all can see it. Because I need to know why. Okay, so needless to say, you have derailed me, and I'm supposed to be sticking to my TBR list for this month. But what am I supposed to do?
I'm sorry.
When I'm in this mood, and I want this book, and that book that I just read to you kind of gives me these vibes, and I just... You can
insert one book.
I know! What am I...
Because I may insert book... Coin flipper app. That's what we did when we were in high school. If you can't decide, you download the coin flipper app and you let your phone decide. or you can go to ChatGPT and let AI decide for you. Which one should I read?
That's a fun challenge. Dude.
Oh my god.
ChatGPT chooses what we read.
Yes. Oh my god. Okay.
Why? Yeah. Okay, my Microsoft Word went in dark mode, and I don't know why it did this to me.
Hey, it's dark mode or no mode.
All right, well, I think we've pretty much kind of like summed up.
It's funny. It's like the video must end. I am out of tea.
Well, and I can't figure out why because I use the Microsoft Word. It's white, so it actually like the monitor gives me more light than my lights does, and so it's like within a dark mode, I have no light source, and you're out of tea.
I'm down to the point where it has the little granules that are making the tea really, really, really strong, and it's like.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah. Well, that's been our check-in for now. Where are you guys at? And you're probably reading this in December, or not reading this. You're watching us. You're not reading us. You're probably watching this in December. Going? Yeah. How's your TBR for the month? Whenever
Tell us how your TBR is going.
Yeah.
Are you endlessly adding to your TBR like many of us do?
I think that's the whole point of the challenge.
We are.
Is because you're supposed to stick with your TBR list and not keep adding more.
I am allowing each of us, we can add one book to our TBR. We have one insert, one wild card insert. Only one.
Only one.
Only one.
Technically, I did.
I may or may not,
because I didn't actually read all 14 of them, so I didn't add 14. I added the one that I read. So technically, I didn't break last month.
Oh, that's funny. But like, so the book that I may or may not add. Mm-hmm. It's book 3 in the book 3 to the series that you're currently reading. But your book, it's funny, and I've told you this, we talked about this a couple times, but it's labeled book 1. It's book 1 of a duology, but it's book 3 in the series.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool.
Like the series is built on duologies, which I'm like, I've never seen that before, but I like it.
Neither have I. Does anybody know how to get dark mode off of Microsoft Word? Because I have a black page here and I don't like it. I need light mode back. Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, office theme, black. There we go. That makes more sense.
That would make sense. There's a theme.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, I'm done. Okay. Well,
okay. So the book 3. Mm-hmm. I need to say what book 3 is, or else it's not going to work. Book 3 is the Songbird and the Heart of Stone. That's book 3.
Oh, I thought that was like the new Hunger Games, because somebody mentioned that title, and I was like, that sounds like the Songbird of Snake.
No, the new Hunger Games. Also, if you hear a bunch of clanking, I've been typing things, so I'm sorry.
You're fine.
If that comes through.
Actually, that's really fun. ASMR is typing sounds, so nope, we can't hear it.
Oh, sad day. All right, you could just see my funny face then.
Yeah,
that would be fun too. What is it called? I pre-ordered it, so I guess I could just go to Amazon and find it. It's I wanted to say something dawn. No, that's not right. Sunrise, like sun rises on the reaping or something.
Oh, cool.
No. Not shipped yet. Sunrise on the reaping. Hey, there, I got it. Good job.
Hey, good job.
Good job, me.
Oh, speaking of pretty covers, I don't think I've ever showed you these books. But I don't have the price tag off, but I got these a long time ago. It's the Grimm's Fairy Tale, and then it's like, what is this one? The Chinese Myths and Tales. And I have another one. Tales of, I think these are steampunk ones.
Oh, those are pretty.
Yeah, so they're on my fairy tale shelf.
People talk about how they'll read books on Kindles and then they'll buy trophy books to put on their shelves. Like, when I think of a trophy book, I think of those kind of books. Like, ones that are, like, so pretty you just don't want to touch.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, yeah, I need to read at some point. I also have to film a lot of videos tonight, so... But,
That's fair.
Yeah, I really like this book.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
I want Rain's backstory. I don't know if I made that pretty clear, but like I want more.
You'll get it.
Also,
you just gotta be patient.
I hid my old bookmark because it wasn't one that I really liked, but I have my artwork, and that would be somebody from Samurai. I can't spoil who, but it's from the ending boss fight, and I like it. So now I'm not afraid to show off my bookmark now. I have a lot of bookmarks left over from the Kickstarter, so I'll probably use it in the next one. But if you ever need a bookmark, just like let me know, because I've got tons left over.
Okay.
I also meant to bring in Immortal because I got to add my Nissan Chibi art. I finally got to put that in my hardback because it's actually mine. I took, for those of you who may not know, it took me forever to get my own copy because I kept having to send them to other people. I finally have my own hardback copy of Immortal, and I added my Chibi sticker.
Yeah. Yes.
So
there you go.
All right, well, that's our check-in, so we will check in with you guys later. It's November 7th, so knowing us, it'll probably be just like a few days from now, because apparently we can't go a week without talking, but it's fine.
No,
you guys
it's just impossible at this point.
Yes, but yeah, let us know how you guys are doing, and we'll check with you guys next time.
All right, guys, week 1 of November TBR. Currently reading Empire of Storms.
it's going pretty well. If it looks like I'm dead, it's because it's nighttime on a Thursday. So this is like me after the day is kind of settling down. So I can't remember when I actually started reading Empire Storms, but I'm really kind of getting back into it, and I was kind of concerned that I wasn't going to. I read purely for enjoyment, and so if there's times when a character is making me not enjoy things, or I'm getting very irritated at a character, many times I find it hard to like push through. And so I'm trying not, like, I think part of me needing, I got through several before I needed a break, so I'm like, I got through more of Throne of Glass series before I needed a break, which I needed a break in ACOTAR too. I just needed to step away and read a few things and then come back. And so I'm really kind of getting into it. There's just several little plot twists that are happening. The next one on my list, if I want to continue, is Tower of Dawn, which, if you don't know, these two run simultaneously, so you can read them at the same time. I am choosing not to because I feel like this would definitely wear me out if I chose to read both of them at the same time, and I would definitely get burnout a second time, and I don't want that. So, but since these two run at the same time, the next chronological book after these two take place is the final one, which is Kingdom of Ash, which I'm assuming is like the battle book. It's where everything comes to a big climax and we have this big epic battles. I'm probably, like, in my head, I'm comparing it to like the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, or like the final battle scene at Mordor in Lord of the Rings. Like, that's kind of what I'm like building it up to in my head. It's like this huge climactic, like, end of story scene, and so I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. So it feels like a lot of the characters are moving around. Some of the characters that weren't even in the same locations in the previous books are now together, and so there are new players, new characters, new creatures that are coming into play that we hadn't really heard of before. There's kind of like a question of like of whether every character genuine, or are we kind of running into some of the one, like, are people betraying other characters? There's a lot of questions that are building. It really feels like a chess game, and like certain pieces are being put into place for this big moment that I'm almost positive is not going to happen in this book, because based on people's reactions of either finishing Kingdom of Ash or reading Kingdom of Ash tells me that there's a lot that's going to be happening. So I'm getting into it. I feel confident with my place in the book, being book week 1. So I feel like I'll get through this book before, probably within sometime next week is what I'm thinking. And then I'm not a huge fan of Kaol, gonna be honest, but I'm interested to see what happens with him in this book. So maybe it'll help me love him again. We'll see. So that's that. I don't know if I'll get to the other two in my TBR. We'll see. You never know. I got further along in October than I thought I would. So I'm not saying no. I'm never saying never. So week 1. See you later.
I just wanted to do a small little check-in for my book. Y'all, last night, you know how I was saying, like, I'm making such slow progress. Just for reference, this is the finished part. I finished this much. I have this much left to go. Last night, I feel like was a real breakthrough moment in reading this book for me. It got good. And I read like 100 pages last night, and it put me in like the 280s, and I've been reading all day, and I got to page 300, and now I'm still reading, and it's just, this book is everything I want a fantasy book to be. It's better than ACOTAR. I like the main couple better than Rhysand and Feyre, and certainly way better than Violet and Xaden from Fourth Wing, and I think I actually like this book better than Fourth Wing. It has, I would say, an equal amount of world building and race building. It's just Fourth Wing deals with dragons, and so that's why it seems like it stands apart, just because dragons are cooler. But it has an equal amount of like work in the world building and the race building. It's just vampires instead of dragons. Not similar at all, and it's definitely majorly Hunger Games vibes, but super like vampire-y and gothic and more adultish. But yeah, it's got a lot of grit to it. I like the Game of Thrones grit, but I haven't encountered anything spicy. I would say it's steamy, and it's like there's nothing in here. I mean, there's a few F-bombs, and that's like the extent of like whatever I would not be okay with, really. But this book is everything. This may be my new favorite fantasy book, and I haven't told my cousin Hannah any of this yet. She knows that I read a lot, and I've been gushing to her about different things in the plot. But yeah, Rain and Aurea, the main couple in this, are my new OPT, one true pairing. Yes, I had to make sure I got the acronym right. So I'm going to go and keep reading because, yeah. So real quick check-in on the book I'm reading again. I'm on page 392, chapter 46. And I've only got that much left to go. But I'm going to stop there because I'm getting kind of drowsy. But I spoke too soon. I hit the spicy stuff, so I skipped through it. So I just wanted to make note that it is spicy. I just didn't get to it for a while. So, but it's still really good. And we're getting to the final thing. So I'm like, I'm panicking, but I'm tired, and I don't know if I have time to finish it tonight and film a review, so I may wait till tomorrow to finish it, but I need a break for now because I've been reading a lot and I don't want to fall asleep because this is exciting stuff. Just wanted to fill you guys in on that. So this is a check-in for my November TBR, and I just finished The Serpent and the Wings of Nights about 20 minutes ago. So I finished it and I immediately filmed my review, and I just got through filming my review. And so after I get done with this video for my check-in, I'm going to write my reviews and post them everywhere and update my Goodreads and Fable and all that stuff. This book has destroyed me. The ending of this book has destroyed me. My bookmark's still in there, but that's just the end matter. I did finish the book. I don't know how to process the ending of this book, and I'm going to give Hannah all of my thoughts when we check in sometime, hopefully tomorrow, if we can catch up with each other. Yeah, so this is definitely a 5-star read for me, and long story short, everything can be summed up in the fact that this is my new favorite fantasy book. It's so good. It is so good. It's so unique. Everything in it is so good. I'd highly encourage you guys to check out my review. It'll be here, my formal review of it, so I can go into all the details without spoiling anything. But it's just like, her writing style is perfect. There's nothing that I would like there. It doesn't need to be tightened. It's finally like a famous author who's actually writing really good, unlike other authors that get by with whatever, not tightening up their writing. So her writing style is good. It makes me feel things. I like the descriptions are so vivid and it's so good. There's a lot of like monsters in this, which I love. It's very gritty. It's got that Game of Thrones kind of feel to it, even though it's not medieval. It's just the gritty aspect to it. You don't know who's gonna live or die. It's got some really creative race building and world building with the vampires. It's got a really good romance. All of the side characters are really loving. Like, you like fall in love with the side characters. I mean, not all of them, because they're not all designed to like be a good thing. Be good characters or whatever. Like, good as in good people. But they're well written. The main character, Aurea, is like a strong female lead, but she has to be, because she is like a human in a world of vampires, so she has to be strong just to survive, and that takes away the arrogance to it. And so it's a really like one of the only times I've ever enjoyed a strong female lead written by somebody other than me, just because I know how to do it in a way that doesn't make me mad. It's so good, and it has a Hunger Games not really exactly, but it's like vampire Hunger Games. It's definitely Skyrim like vampire. So if you've played the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, the vampire, there's a lot of like similarities between that. But the vampires have a whole race building to them. There's a lot of political intrigue, I would say. There's a lot of magic building to them that makes it different. They have a whole culture, and they have like a pantheon of gods, which is really similar to like Greek stuff. So there's a whole lot more to them. And like I said, the Hunger Games scenario in this is like Hunger Games, but like mature. And I'm not meaning like mature like as an X-rated or bad. It's just mature as in it's geared toward adults, whereas Hunger Games is more YA or teens. And this is like so much more epic and mature and amazing and gritty and everything that I love in a fantasy book. And I'm still trying to process the ending. So I will definitely write my review, sit on my thoughts, and then kind of talk it out with Hannah in our book chat when we catch up, hopefully tomorrow. And in the meantime, this is going on my epic beloved fantasy shelf because I do like it better than the ACOTAR series. The only thing is, like, ACOTAR, we have more books of them, whereas this one, I've only read this one, and then there's only one more. And I definitely think it's definitely at least tied with Fourth Wing, if not better. The difference is, like, Fourth Wing and this both have an equal amount of world building and culture building, whereas that one's just dragons. This one is vampires. So I would say it's like the Fourth Wing of vampires, which is a good way to describe it. It's ruined vampire books for me. I don't think there's ever going to be a vampire book that actually holds up to this. Certainly not a fantasy one. Like, you see vampire ones that are more in the contemporary ones where they're like contemporary fantasy, so they're in the modern world. But either way, whether it's modern or fantasy, like vampires in a fantasy world to themselves, it has ruined vampires for me because nothing will ever be this good. And now I'm going to have withdrawal, and I have to get through the rest of my November TBR somehow, when I don't want to read anything else but this. So I have Throne of Glass and the Christian military romantic suspense that I found, which I'm not into that genre anymore, simply because I'm into this. And I definitely think that Throne of Glass is going to fail compared to this, so it's going to be even harder for me to get through Throne of Glass, but I do have the audiobook for it. And honestly, it's like 4 a.m., almost 4 a.m., so after I write my reviews, I still have some hours left to do whatever, and I can't just launch into reading something else. So I don't know what to do to get over the withdrawal. It's going to be really hard. Especially since my pattern of reading lately had been that until the last October TBR. When I read Cyclone, it was so bad I just quit having withdrawal and I almost fell out of reading entirely. But I don't know what to do with myself. I'm adding this to my shelf. Gonna write and post my reviews and update Goodreads and Fable and go from there, and then have withdrawal because this book is so good. So I'll check in with you guys next time. My voice cracked, I think. But it's November 10th, so this is our week 2 check-in, and boy, we've got book hauls. I finished a book. We're spending too much money on books. We've got to talk about it. Like, oh my gosh. I did a little bit of a check-in last night after I finished, but, and I did film my review video, so my details are there, but we may we may have a little bit of spoiler talk a little bit, but I'm so excited for this check-in, so yeah.
Yes.
So I'm spending too much money on books. We're kind of broke this week, so I spent money on From Blood and Ash. This is not the cover that I knew this book by, but I have the audiobook and I've listened to the prologue months ago, like back September, August, and I've really wanted to read it, so I've been waiting to find the book, and I was like, I'll just order it on Amazon sometime, but I saw this at Walmart. I'm like, is that the same book? And I looked and it is. So
cool.
It started off in a way that really hooked me. It has that gritty kind of feel to it. I think it's a fantasy romance, but I don't know for sure, so we'll see. But it's got some foiling. That could just be the lighting, but it looks cool. So that's the first one. And then, of course, naturally, I mean, what else am I gonna get? I got from Target. Okay. I was like, hey, I'm gonna head to Target and check it out. So I do have it is pretty.
Oh, it's the same one I do. The hardcover is so pretty.
The camera doesn't do it justice, you guys. So
no, it doesn't. It's
I'm not even gonna read the blurb, but I got book 2.
Okay, feel the texture. Okay, this is a random rant from me.
Yes.
Feel the texture of the pages on book 2. Feel the actual texture of the pages. Like flip the page, like page by.
Yeah.
It's a different type of paper, and I don't know what it is, but it's like that is like my obsession. I love that kind of paper, and I read like funny because I can speed read. I can speed read books if it has that type of paper. It is the stupidest thing I have ever seen, but it happens because I'm just like, oh, I love this paper. The texture of this paper is fantastic, and I don't. Maybe I'm just kind of. There's something going on in my head. Who knows? But
that's funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
Paper.
All right. So what's your book called?
All right. Well, I told you I judge books by their cover, and I loved the cover of this book, so I bought it.
I got the two books you had, and you got the book that I had.
What hooked me, it's not the actual cover this time. It's this like stupidly fantastic artwork on the inside cover of the hardback.
I'm like sprayed edges.
But I'm like the artwork, it just looks
I know.
It looks good.
They had another hardback with sprayed edges. It had dragons with it, and it had sprayed edges. It was so cool, but it's middle school. Like it's a middle school. Like the character's 13. I'm like, I
doesn't necessarily mean that.
I know. I don't like that. So I was like, I can't justify buying this book for myself.
I get you. It's hard for you to connect with a character that's in middle school, considering you're 30 and I'm 27. So it's like, like our ages make it kind of like.
On the Heart of Christmas, I have not been editing for the past like 5 days, so I'm 10 stories behind. So this is where I am, and this is where I should be today. So this is all I've got to edit, and I'm falling.
I haven't read like much at all this week either, so it's okay. We just had a slow week.
Yeah, well, I actually had a fast week because I did finish this book, so that's just my editing.
That is fair. You've read enough for the both of us this week.
All right. So a couple days ago. I want to say sometime midweek, I hit because we had just checked in. It was the next day, and I had complained about being slow. You remember? The next night, I read 100 pages, and I got like it hit me. The book hit me.
I know that's what I was saying. I'm like, it's going to hit a point where you're just going to start speed reading it.
Yeah,
I figured that was coming.
I got to like 70% done, and the next night, I think it was last night, then I finished it. Well, I was close to finishing it, but I like finishing books and then being able to film my review right after. And so if I know I don't have enough time to do both, I'll wait till the next night. So I like took an extra night. The ending left me real like I
was waiting for you to get there. I saw your text when I got up this morning, and I'm like, oh, I know what moment she got to.
Basically, non-spoiler, they have a double twist at the end. I had texted you at the first one. It was the second
my
one.
god!
Yeah,
okay,
I was okay. Spoiler talk. I'll have an alert. Skip to this time. We're going to be talking for a while.
Spoiler alert.
So he died. And I was like, why can't they just eat berries like PETA and the chick Katniss from Hunger Games? We don't have to do this.
She stabs him, man.
She like him in the heart. He pulls the sword in. It's kind of implied that he grabs it and pulled it in. But then
like helped her do it.
And I was like, oh my god. That's when I texted you. I was freaking out, reading. And then the goddess comes, and I'm like, "Oh, she's gonna wish for him back." I was like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be like." Did
you expect the twist that he throws?
Sort of. Okay, so I had a feeling that he was gonna end up being the heir for the Rishon. I didn't expect him to kill Vincent. That was the part that I was like, "What is it?
What kind of detail does it go into at the very, very end of the book?"
It's like. There's a lot. Like, he kills Vincent in front of her right after she brought him back to life.
Because I read them so close together that I can't tell what's at the beginning of book 2.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Yeah, he kills Vincent in front of her, and she's freaking out. I'm freaking out because he, like, betrayed her by killing her father in front of him.
Yeah.
And then he takes her captive, and he threatens to... assault her, we'll say, just so that the people will let her live and he can justify keeping her alive. And he takes her to the palace, and then
the thing is,
he tries to talk to her and explain things.
She sees him. She sees that as the true him, and that's the part that's like, I can't. It's like enemies to lovers, but it's not, because
Well, I
at
mean,
the end of it,
enemies to
she does
lovers
not.
to enemies again is what it comes off as, because she hates him. And so she goes through with the marriage. Janine shows up and she's basically married to him, trapped there, and she gets the air mark, and so she's married to him. And on the one hand, she knows that there's enemies circling him, that they're going to want to take him down, but on the other hand, like, he did kill her father. And so we and her don't know what, like, I think he really does love her and stuff. I mean, he died for her, and he wasn't expecting her to wish him back alive, so I can't believe that he's fully bad. But, like, sorry, my camera's blurring for whatever reason. I don't know how to get it to not blur. You just have to deal with me being blurred. But, like,
try tapping your face.
Okay.
Like, tap the center of your face.
Yeah, I did, but it's like, it doesn't work on Discord the same way. But all right, whatever. Anyways, and so, but she hates him for what he did. So I don't know if I can see it. I don't know if they're gonna, if they're gonna be end game, like, you know what I mean? Like, if their romance is gonna be. So, how
he acts in front of the people. Like, his attitude on how he acted, and like what, like, the things he insinuates about, like, he's going to do to her in front of the people. That's what made me boycott and not want to read BookTube right away. Yeah. Like, that's why I took a step back, and I'm like, okay, I don't like, I'm mad.
I'm like, everybody hates Tamlin, but I'm like, at what point is he worse than Tamlin here? Because, I mean, he took things so far. True. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like
I think his actions like, on what he does next will determine how we feel.
Yeah. And he, like, his whole reasoning is completely justified, but after she killed him, like, he allowed her to kill him, and he was going to die for her. I feel like he didn't have to when he came back. Like, that's what aggravates me, is like, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to go through with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes me mad. And especially given that he isn't, like, meant to be the heir. He was just a slave, which I love his whole backstory, by the way. Hey, we cleared! Yay! All right. I love his whole, you know me, I'm a sucker for a slave, so I'm like, that was, I'm a psychopath, so that was perfect. But, like, I'm like, he didn't have, when he came back, he could have chosen not to do that. Like, his wish could have been, and at first I thought it was going to trade their lives. Like, I was, like, when she wished that he had won, I thought, oh no, she's going to die now. But I was like, she's the POV character. So, and then that's not what happened. So,
like, I could have seen him tying, I could have seen him tying the two of them together. You know, or something like that. That's where it's like, I didn't really expect him to just, like, overthrow Vincent and, like, take his place. And it's like, that's where I'm like, oh,
I'm like,
okay,
and so part of me is really mad at him. I'm mad at him, but I like it because it's such a unique take on romances and Hunger Games scenarios and just everything. It is know what I'm saying? I would definitely describe this as a romantasy, but it's like, it's not a full romantic. It's not a romance because it doesn't end in a happy ending. That's where it's like, it's an epic fantasy with a romance subplot, but it's like, if you take the romance out, the plot does kind of, like, you know what I mean? It enhances the plot. So I said it is because you don't have as much of a plot. You know what I'm saying? Because of the majority of the middle, as they're going through the trials, is their enemies to lovers to enemies again. I honestly don't know how to think. I still love him as a character, but the fangirl in me is mad at him. Like, you know, so it's a good mad because it's like what we're supposed to be. Yeah. And I don't know how she was so mad. She was, like, biting and screaming and cussing. I'm like, go you. Like, so, well, and it's like, I love his character.
And that's where it's like, I think it's a, well, and I think that it's a really unique perspective on looking at, like, when you have, like, a parent that doesn't show emotion very well and is very stern and hard, has, like, a really hard outer shell. I mean, as a child, like, you love your parent, you get frustrated with them, and it's like, if you have a, like, and, like, I think it's a really unique way of looking at, like, a child, like a parent-child relationship, and seeing how he loved her and she loved him,
Yeah.
But it was like he had a weird way of showing his love, and he was kind of like a sink or swim kind of guy. Like either you're going to die in this world or you're going to live in this world. There's no in between. You know, and that was really kind of his mentality, and it's really intriguing looking at their relationship.
For me, I hated the way that he raised her. Like it was toxic, but I loved him on her behalf. But I genuinely felt it when he died, though, and I felt that betrayal.
Oh yeah,
so it was written expertly.
Yes,
and can I just say the fight scenes,
were really detailed. I could build
note here though. The injuries are so unrealistic, but my God, the fight scenes are so good. I'm like, who cares? I don't even care. It's just so. And the way she describes monsters reminds me of Cassandra Clare, and it's right on the edge of horror, dark fantasy, but not too far. It's right there. At the brink of what I love and enjoy without going too far. And I would say it's not it wasn't spicy until the end. There's one chapter that really gets spicy, but and to me also, not only has it ruined vampires for me, because there's nothing else that's ever going to be a vampire enough, but the enemies to lovers, this is the only book that I have seen that does a true enemies to lovers right. It's like a true. Not only has it ruined vampires, but to me, it's one of the books that has done an enemies to lovers right, because it takes work, and they have emotional substance. Even after the spicy scene, she's like, I want to know you. And they never say that in fantasy romances ever. They don't want to know each other. It's all about, let's get spicy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's ruined a lot for me.
It's almost it's in most other books. Yeah. Really.
I literally,
I would agree. It's up there. I can't compare it to the other series that I've read. I can't compare it to Throne of Glass or Fourth Wing or ACOTAR, because they're just different. It's very unique. It's on its own wavelength almost. It's in its own category. It's weird.
I would say for me, it matches the world, the amount of world and race building that's done in Fourth Wing, but it's vampires instead of dragons. I would say that's the primary difference. And for me, I think that the grit and the action in this is a lot more intense than ACOTAR, but ACOTAR has more books to keep us attached for longer. So I would say this one's definitely up there for me. I love it. Which creates my next element. Y'all can come back. I think we're done spoiler talking for now, but I'll announce if we get back to talking about it again. So therein lies my dilemma, is what am I going to read next? Because I can't just jump to a romantic contemporary suspense, because I do have, that was my other one on my TBR this month, along with The Heart of Christmas, which I'm editing, so that's going to be done. But I had Throne of Glass as a bonus. If I get it done this month, good. If not, it's not officially on my TBR. I remember that was a bonus book this month. So the only other ones I had were the first book in that Christian romantic suspense that I do have on my Kindle. But I don't know how to do that. So I don't know what to do with myself. I really just want to start book 2, honestly. Do you think that a person could read book 2 without reading this one, and I could go read this one later? Or do you think I have to stop and read this one first?
You don't have to read it. I loved it. It was a good break in between. It was just more of a sweeter story that it gives you a back. So you meet 2 new characters in book 2, and those 2 characters. The end of the short novel, they at the end when the short novel ends, they are traveling to meet the main people in book 2. So it takes place directly before book 2.
Right, so it's chronologically. Because, see, that's the thing also, is I don't know if I need a palate cleanser, and I need a break to rest my emotions in my brain after how it.
The way
you know what I mean?
The short novel isn't nearly as action-packed, so it's a good it's more of a chill, sweeter story. I think it's sweet, but, it's vampire, so you can't really, there's only so certain amount of sweetness you can get, you know what I'm saying? But it's a lot calmer than the first book. So, I mean, if that helps your decision at all, but
yeah, well, I don't know if I want to stick to my November TBR or jump to basically adding where I would read this one and then this one next and just put off the romantic Christian suspense. But then I've also gotten this one. I've been waiting for about 2 years to read this one, and I feel like it's going to be pretty intense too. And then at some point I do want to read From Blood and Ash, but that one's going to get put off at least for another month. I think with Throne of Glass, I may try hybrid reading, because I think if I just listen to the audiobook, I can keep myself busy and it's not just like a droning kind of, because I think, unfortunately, this book was so good, it's going to make it even harder for me to get through Throne of Glass, because it's still like her going in a competition to fight and win, which is kind of like Hunger Games vibes, and it's like this, but this probably did it better.
I think it would be better to read, because the book 2 doesn't have it. Book 2 is not a competition.
Yeah, it's like different.
So
I don't. And like, it feels like it's going to be political.
I mean, like, I think, and it's like, yeah, I would agree with that.
Is it just her POV again, or are we going to get his POV? I'm just curious.
Both. It
Okay.
goes back and forth between hers and his.
I was hoping. It'd be interesting to get in his head. So I do know, since I did finish this one, I am editing this one, so I know for a fact I'm going to get this done. So that's 2 out of the 3 books that was on my TBR list for the month.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good. I can't decide if I'm supposed to if I'll stick with my November TBR and try reading the Christian romantic suspense next, as soon as my Kindle decides to load. Pages of Promise is what that's called. Or insert this in between there.
I think I would, honestly, I liked the 6 Scorched Roses. It's slower, not slower in the sense that it's dragged you on, but it's slower in the sense that there's very little fight. There's like pretty much no fighting at all in it.
Yeah.
It's just like I would say it's a romance. That's what I would tell you.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be sticking with my November TBR. I've been tonight, like,
hey, I inserted that one in last month. That was the one that I inserted in anyway.
That'd be fun. I know, like, tonight I wrote fine, but like the last several nights I skipped a night for writing, and I've been dreading it. It's like pulling my hair out to sit and write. Like, I love the story. Authors will relate to this if you guys are authors watching this. Sometimes the act of actually writing the dang story is not fun. Like, it's a hobby for me, but sometimes I just want to read it, but man, I have to write it first, and it honestly sucks. Like, we don't want to actually sit and write books sometimes. And I've been burning out, and so that's kind of like, so on the one hand, if I did read the romantic suspense, it could get me back in that vibe again. But on the other hand, I'm like, I'm in this kind of mood with this genre, and it's the same author and world, so
yeah.
Oof, I don't know.
Well, and if you're out of that romantic suspense mood anyway, I mean, there's a good possibility of it going the opposite direction, and it could pull you out of that even more.
Yeah,
if you're just not into it.
See, that's the other thing I was going to talk to you about. I love the October TBR challenges, and it's been keeping me reading. I have a 17-day reading streak, which I think it was just because I forgot.
I lost mine because I didn't read for a couple days.
Yeah, but I hadn't read for a couple months, and it's keeping me reading. I think part of me also feels confined to a box, and I'm forced to read because, like, oh, I wanted to read this at the beginning of the month, but now I'm not in that mood anymore. But now I'm forced to kind of read a book I don't want, and so I kind of like need more wiggle room. You know what I mean? To kind of just read whatever I want.
And that's where it's like, honestly, I don't mind having like a swap and an insert, like you have one swap out and you have one insert, or or something like that. Like, I honestly don't mind that because, like, depending on how this book goes and how I feel, like,
what's going on with you?
Know if I want to start. Like, I genuinely don't know if I would want to start on yet. Like, because I've went, like, with ACOTAR, like, it was like every day I wanted to sit down and read the book.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have went like 3 days without reading in here. Granted, and it's not even at a part where it's like, I think it's just like there's so much stuff, like, there are, like, the enemy, like, the antagonist's side the enemy side is so big and it's like so outnumbered that I'm like, I know a character's probably going to end up dying by the end of this. Like, there's no way they can, every character that I've grown to love in here is going to make it out okay. There's no way that the characters, like the character romance that I'm loving at the moment is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because I keep getting foreshadowing hints of like something happened. It's like there's times where it's like even her gifts might not be enough to win alone. And it's like, and it's mentioned something about dying. And I'm like, there's so much foreshadowing of somebody, like people dying, that it's like, I'm just like, and it's like now, like this part that I just read past, it's like these creatures like were like hiding as another character. And so they had no idea. And so now the enemy knows exactly where they're at and exactly what they're doing. And I'm like, really? Like, that
actually sounds really good to me. I love high stakes, but I get that it can be.
And it's like, and it's like the part that I'm at, like, it's definitely going to be because like this guy's found his dad and is like, he's angry at his dad, but he's found his dad and like his dad's been introduced to him for the first time and learned of his existence, you know? And so it's like, it's going to be a really good scene, good character development, you know, but it's like, and I know it's going to be good. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been like head first in teaching a lot this past couple weeks.
I get that.
Because we're starting cooking labs and like teaching all the lessons to getting a like consistently like talking about kitchen safety and making sure we get through that before Thanksgiving so we can have our first lab before Thanksgiving. And it's just like, I don't know if it's just work has cluttered my brain to the point where I just like, I want to just either sit down and play a game and just get my, like, you know, or I don't know. I've fallen into this trap of like I have fallen into the trap of TikTok scrolling again. And this is where I will delete TikTok off of my phone because I will physically lose hours out of my day. Just, and it's literally, I am robotic scrolling. Yeah. And it's like, and it's bad because being an introvert anyway, it's so easy for me to just lay down lay down on top of my bed and take a nap. Like I slept for 2 hours this afternoon. I wanted to get like cleaning done. And it's like, I didn't get that done because like I was either scrolling on TikTok or I fell asleep. And it's just like, yeah. So I don't know if I'm just I don't know if I'm just in a bad headspace and that's making it hard to read. Which is kind of interesting because not a lot of people talk about like that in the like book talk or whatever community is like when you're in a bad headspace, it's really hard to read.
Yeah. Like tonight when I was stressed out because I had a really stressful day, my first instinct was to write. Like, I don't know if I could have read anything, you know, because sometimes like and I get that like wanting to do other things besides read. And then the other thing is the scrolling. I've gotten bad at I tried to stay away from it because my memory's getting worse, and I know that shorts can give you a shorter attention span, and I want to keep my attention span where it is. So I try to stay away from it, but I've gotten into like Stephen Walker. Like I think we've sent a couple memes. I think his name is Stephen Walker. He's a big ACOTAR guy, and he just does a lot, of bookish. Yes, and he's so funny. I seriously wait a while, so I have some of his content, and I'll just scroll through and watch all of his shorts. And it's gotten to where I try to keep myself in check because like YouTube is showing me more shorts than long form content now, and it's become a really bad habit. And
every social media play, like even Twitch now has your live, like you have like your following tab on your app, and then now it has like TikTok style live, and it's where you can swipe between TikTok things and click on one, and it will suggest that based on swiping and suggesting. And I'm like, that whole swiping concept is in literally everything. Like you have like it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram. It wouldn't surprise me if X develops that thing anymore. I don't know if Elon Musk would go for that or not, but it's like,
yeah,
it just,
I mean, to me,
Facebook
it's
has
like
Reels now, and it's
they
just
design
everywhere.
it to keep you on their platform as long as possible, and that's what's like.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think there's a
and it's
line.
interesting.
You know?
Well, and something interesting, when I was in college,
Mhm.
we had to take it's like literacy for diverse learners. It was the one class that we had with the head, like our professor was the head of the education department.
Right.
And one of the books that we read, I'm gonna have to Google it to go on Goodreads to make sure I get the name right. But it was like something about like what the internet's doing to our brains or something.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting read. Like it essentially talked about like the whole shortening your attention span thing.
Yeah. Because I'm also wondering if that's messing with our memories. Because I know my sister and I have talked about this before.
It's called The Shallows. What the internet is doing to our brains.
I'll have a link to it in the description below. So just to remind.
Yeah, and it was like it was an interesting read. It has most people are giving it it has like a 3.8 stars, and most people give it like a 4 stars. But it's like it was a really interesting read, like understanding the concept of like the attention span that's required to sit down and read a book like this is very different than something like on a website, because you have hyperlink after hyperlink after hyperlink to jump from this to this to this to this to this to this, and it's like you don't have that with this. And I think that's where, honestly, like I'm feeling that this week. Yeah, because it's like I can't, like I'm just struggling to sit down and just read. And that's where it's I either want to have my Switch in my hand, either I want to play Skyrim because I'm playing through one of the new mods that I'm having fun with, and it's like the East Empire Company expansion mod that I'm playing through. It's like so much fun, but it's like it's all these electronics, and it's like.
That's why I feel like
there's times where I would sit here at my desk and have my book here, and I would be like, I would just have either the audiobook playing and like reading and listening and, going back and forth and doing those things. I don't know if it's just that stimulation made it easier or if it's just me at the moment. Yeah, it could be a mixture of things too. Or like me not looking forward to the dark kind of like foreseeable future in this series, because it's going to get darker before it gets better, and it's like I think it's just a mixture of a lot of things. Yeah, I feel like reading is such a good habit to get into, and that's why since we did our October TBR, I feel so much happier because in the evening I would need to wind down, and I feel like I wasted so much time just watching YouTube, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like everybody needs their wind down time. But I feel more productive setting goals for myself and actually keeping to them, and reading. Like Kindle is fine, but like there's something about reading a physical book, and like you said, it takes an attention span. I felt so good when I read that 100 pages, because that's what kind of had my breakthrough moment, because I would read for a little while, but I wasn't like reading for a long extended period of time. And I feel like it's such a good habit to get into it, like how I tell writers you need to write every day, like at least a little bit, to kind of get you in that habit. It's the same thing, and I feel like I've come such a long way from the me who was like, I don't need to read books. I don't want to read anything but myself. And it wasn't like an I remember you and you talk about like that.
So I didn't think I could find anything that fits me. And now I found even multiple genres with a type of thing that really fits me. And I'm a book reader again. And I'm so giddy. Like I'm so giddy and proud. Even going out and buying books. Like I have a book haul and I'm so excited for all the books I bought, But I feel like I honestly don't know how to get into a book if you're having that. Like I haven't really dealt with that before, so we don't really have any tips for anybody. But I feel like it's important to talk about, because a lot of
if anything,
people don't talk about that. If anything,
people be able to relate to it, and it's like I don't know. There's been just things going on, like there's a lot going on in my head at the moment, like things I'm preparing for, things I was expecting to go do that now I'm being told that I may not do. And so it's just like there's several things that I'm just like, my brain feels like a bundle of rubber bands. It's just a big knot, and I'm trying to work through everything, and it's just I about dropped my phone. That would have been bad. Just sheer panic on my face, and I'm like, oh wait a minute. But but honestly, I want to try to see if I can get, because we're going to Discord just on our own after this. And so I'm like, I'm going to try to get like continue with this and keep going.
Yeah. So one more note I wanted to make on our TBR thing. I think for me, I'm okay inserting a book. I may try to read this one, but we'll see what happens. And the only reason
I'm curious to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. The only reason why I'm okay with that is because I know for a fact I'm going to finish this book. So that's technically 2 on my TBR that I'm knocking down this month. So to me, it feels like okay to kind of wiggle a third one in there. Because the only other one was that Christian romantic suspense. And like you said, it could cause me to burn out or it could get me into it. Like, I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at headspace wise on the TBR challenge. Because I feel like you said this may be a good palate cleanser before the next book. It's been I don't know, I say this every time I review a book.
Book 2 is intense, but it's not intense for the same reasons.
Yeah. It's
intense
like
for
there's a
different
lot
reasons.
of political stuff that was just set up, and I'm like, I don't even know who to trust. And this was just the ending.
Book 2, like I'm glad you mentioned that because I would like book 2 is way more political than book 1 was.
I love it. I love a good political intrigue thing. So,
and it sets it up for book 3. That's pre-order. That'll come out the 22nd of November.
Oh, that reminds me.
So it'll be out by the time this video comes out.
I reviewed it on Fable, right? And the thing I love about Fable is when you review or rate a book or you've read a book, your feed will be filled with other people who are reading that same book. So you connect with like-minded people. And I found a couple that they just finished the book too. And so I commented, I'm like, I'm going to be a little sociable, like online sociable. And I commented on there, like, I just finished book 1 and it's leaving me reeling. And I've actually been commenting and replying back and forth with a few book readers about it. So I feel like I'm connecting with other book readers a little bit too. So I just wanted to make note of that. My little thingy changed. Oh my gosh.
Did it?
Yeah. And it's
what
hilarious.
Did it change to?
I have to pull, I think I shared it on my, what platform did I share that on? Was that Facebook? Because I have to read it to you guys because it's hilarious. It would help if I
it's a dark mine's Dark Fantasy Admirer and it cracked me up.
Oh my gosh.
It went from Fantasy Fiend to Dark Fantasy Admirer.
That's great. I genuinely think I haven't logged in on Facebook.
Granted, I've read my Goodreads book. I've met my Goodreads book, my Goodreads goal for the year too. So I think it's just kind of like I'm slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, I think you don't have to read. Speaking of goals, you know how my thing was, next year I'm going to have a goal of 12 books because 1 book per month. I've already read 13 this year.
Then you start 14.
Yeah, I'll do. 13, I was thinking about doubling.
So like you're 13
about go big or go home and doubling and trying to do 2 books a month and going 24 and doubling it. But that may be a lot.
You can try. But see what I do is that my whatever I end on, that's my starting goal for the next year. So last year, I think my goal was 19 and I got 20. So now my starting goal this year was 20. And at the moment I'm on 21, which I'll end up reading more than that before the end of the year. So my starting goal next year will likely be like 22, 23. And like each year I'm bumping it up 1.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing the past couple of years. And I like it. Like, it's helped me to reach my goals more.
Yeah. Okay, so it says, emotional roller coaster connoisseur. You're all about deep dives into dark, magical, and emotional waters, craving thrillers sparkled with love and survival. I might need a seatbelt for any book I recommend you.
That's funny. Okay, mine says, Dark Fantasy Admirer. With your penchant for dark, romantic fantasies and fierce heroines, I'm worried you'll start a brooding book club and expect us all to wear capes.
That's funny.
I had an 11-day streak and I just lost it.
I'm sorry. I lost one because
hey, cheater, you've blown through your reading goals.
Hey, your audio is cutting out. You sound far away down a well, so you may have to repeat what you just said. It's fine now. I think you just turned your face away for whatever reason.
Okay. Do you want me to reread it then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So mine says, Dark Fantasy Admirer. It says, with your penchant for dark, romantic fantasies and fierce heroines, I'm worried you'll start a brooding book club and expect us all to wear capes.
That's funny. I like that.
And then it said that I was an overachiever because I've met my reading goal for the year already. And it says,
great.
update your reading goal to stay motivated.
That's great. I love that.
Which I've done that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the last time I read was on Wednesday the 6th, and I didn't read on Tuesday. But I had a decent streak going, and I just haven't read for the past 3 days.
My thing is, I read in the AM, and for me, it's still the same day, but Fable counts it as the next day. So if I forget to log it, it's like, oh, you skipped reading because I didn't read until 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., and I did read that day. Yeah. But I forgot, and that's why I lost my streak, because I forgot to log that I had. I hadn't read. Yeah. I hadn't logged it that last night. I think
Fable has the thing where later. Can't you click a previous day? Well, not if it starts a new week, but I thought there was a way of clicking on the day and then marking that you read.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't remember. I'll have to look at that because I think I did. I think I forgot to log that I did one time, and I went back and I was able to log it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been 17 days ago, so I won't remember. I don't remember. But it's okay. I'm excited to read at least once every day and see how long I can keep the streak up just for fun. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know of anything else we need to cover in this topic. What else? I forgot what all was on your TBR besides Empire of Storms. Just out of curiosity.
After Empire of Storms, there was Tower of Dawn, which more than likely I'll end up reading. At some point, I want to reread Hunger Games. I don't know if I'm feeling it at the moment. And then I want to continue the Harry Potter series too with the Goblet of Fire. I don't know if, honestly, I'm not feeling either one of these, so I may end up doing a book insert if I get through Tower of Dawn by the end of the month. Mm-hmm. Before the end of the month, I'm probably going to insert a book because I'm just not.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not feeling these two.
Romantic suspense either. Which was funny because I wasn't into fantasy. I was in romantic suspense, contemporary, where it's set in the real world. And then I got into fantasy, and now I'm into fantasy and not wanting the real world. So
that's funny.
Yeah. But I think that's it for our check-in. So this has been our week 2 check-in. So we'll talk to you guys or throughout. You'll probably get to watch all of our check-ins throughout the week if we have any. Oh, yeah. But by the way, Hannah, the one you sent me texting, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
I had to listen to it closely because the audio was a little soft, and I couldn't turn it up. I can enhance it when I'm editing, but just watching it was I had to put it to my ear.
I was huddled. That was one of my endless TikTok scrolls, and they were talking about how unrealistic the Twilight timeline was, and I'm like, okay, one, this is vampires. Vampires aren't real, so it's not going to be that realistic with vampires anyway. And I'm like, 2, they sparkle. I don't think that she was going for a realistic timeline when she wrote the series. And I'm just
I know.
And I'm like, I don't think that was her goal. I don't think that she was making it realistic.
Yeah, it wasn't
a realistic relationship. This is definitely a fantasy, fake relationship. And that's where it's all of these people in these fantasy stories, they're okay with dating 400, 500, 600-year-old people, and I'm like, I don't think they're thinking, oh, they just met this year, why are they suddenly just together, and it's I don't think she cares. I don't think that was on her mind when she was writing Twilight. I genuinely don't. But
I get it.
That was funny, and I'm like, this really isn't even a check-in. It's just a random thought that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna film this because I'm like.
The last one that I did, the day before you sent me that one, I was on the couch and it was cold, so I had my hoodie on, but my hood bunches up at my neck, so I put my hood on and lay back so that way my neck can be comfy. And I was like, I'm in a hood, so I look like a freak, and I had to share my thoughts, but I still had my hood on, so I was just
huddled,
but and to me it's Twilight. She started off as a junior, and they go to her senior year, and then after graduation, so it's a 2 to 3 year period. So I mean, that seems realistic to me, but what do I know?
And considering I went to considering at Baptist colleges, you have kids in the matter of like 2 to 3 years, they're getting engaged.
Yeah.
So it's like
really? Yeah.
people in real life do that too. It's just when it's in a fantasy series, we overthink it, and it's like
like I've heard of people getting engaged after just like a few months of dating. So I mean, it's not people get.
There are celebrities that there's celebrities that will get married and divorced within a month. I mean, like,
yeah,
so like, is it really that far off to get like to think that harshly about a timeline? I'm just like, you know.
Yeah, that's hilarious. My mind kind of spaced out. Speaking of spacing out, another random thought. I was at Walmart and they play music so loud I can't think. But today it was like this weird 80s like music, and I swear it was hypnotizing me. It wasn't like good 80s music. It was like I completely like disassociated, and I was just standing there staring in the space, and I couldn't concentrate on anything. And like Alicia calls me and we were trying to talk about dinner, and I was like, I can't think about anything. This song is like hypnotizing me, I swear. It was like but anyway, so funny. Walmart's hypnotizing its customers. I'm kidding. But yeah, so that's our
conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And I love 80s music, so 80s music is so peak, but that was just like a weird
I've been like in a 70s kick at the moment. Like that's what I've been listening to, like 70s music here lately. I don't know why it is. It's just like it's different, and I'm like it satisfies that little itch in my brain that I'm like, okay, I like this. There's like songs like September that I'm just like, okay, it works. I'm into it.
I like it.
All right. I'll stop babbling now.
Yeah. We'll check in with you guys next week or week. Bye. Hey guys, so this is a check-in for my book November TBR thingy. So this is still November 11th, so it's like my first check-in for the week, and I've decided to start Pages of Promise. I would feel better reading the rest of the Crowns of Naxia, like the second book, well, before that, the little short novella between book 1 and book 2, and then book 2, and then doing Bloodguard after that. Basically, reading all of the other books that I want to read. I'd feel better doing that once I get this book done, because the 3 books on my TBR list for the month was The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then The Heart of Christmas to get me editing it, and then this book. Throne of Glass was a bonus book, whether I did or didn't do it. So I finished this one. If I finished this one, I would have finished my November TBR list, and I would feel free to like do whatever. So I'm cooking and I'm reading, and I'm already 14% through it. I'm like on page 45, I think. My first crock pot dinner. I'm so excited. And I make, the only meal I really know how to make is chicken Alfredo, and I usually make it a different way, so I'm kind of excited because it's crockpot season. So I'm gonna get back to reading and cooking, and I will check in with you guys toward the end of the week. I have to point out that I feel in such a cozy book mood right now. I was in a fantasy mood, and this book is okay. I was talking to my cousin earlier tonight, and I'm like, it's okay. It's not good and it's not bad, and I'm too early to tell one way or the other. So I was kind of like meh about it, and I was having kind of a stressful evening earlier because of my writing and everything. But I mean, check out these fall vibes, okay? Put some music to it. It's so wonderful. I love it so much. I gotta keep an eye on my spaghetti though. Guys.
Hello.
I was lagging for a minute there.
Yeah. I feel like we've done a check-in like 3 days in a row. We've done so many check-ins so close together, but it's like, you know what? We had to do one today because the first video, October's, got posted today. So
yeah, I haven't actually checked the stats or anything, so that's fun. I'm actually going to pull up YouTube real quick. But so you finished Empire of Storms. We actually talked yesterday, but we didn't film it. But we did kind of have a book talk kind of. We went through the Goodreads Choice Awards too, so it probably would have been good to film, but we were just having fun. So
yeah. Oh, that's true. Got tea. The bits of tea got stuck in my tea, so we're going to see if this tastes decent or not.
Okay. Echo. Sorry, I got to yell at my husky again. He will not stay out of my bathroom, I swear.
It must be a husky thing.
Yeah. So you finished Empire of Storms. So my first question, because I wanted to, I had questions. I'm like, if we wait to film this, I'm going to forget everything I wanted to talk to her about. So my first question is, are you excited for the dual book? And has this gotten you excited for the final book? That was my
final
first
book.
curiosity.
I don't know about the final book because I feel like the side characters carried this book for me.
Yeah.
There's times where I thought maybe the main character was getting some like development or like growth where she was like learning from her mistakes. And then only for her to make the same mistake, the same type of decisions over and over and over again. And it was like, not like dumb decisions per se, like some of them were. Looking at it, like getting to the end of the book, realizing that some decisions were really dumb decisions.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's like, I can tell that I'm supposed to be somewhat empathetic and sad for how it ended. But it's like, it just makes me like partially angry at her. Especially when I realize the main character, this particular character, she does a lot of like planning but keeps it to herself, and she doesn't really share any of it. And there's like one particular kind of plan that she and like maybe two others had told. Granted, their group is a pretty large group at this point of people, and she only tells two people about it and doesn't include a character that I would think needs to know about said plan. Yeah. And he doesn't discover about it until like after this huge event happens. And it's like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about her. Yeah, it seems that's really weird. Sorry. And I was being so cute, so I was smiling, not at the story, but at the scene. I just couldn't help it. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. There's a lot of like book memes, and like I hear a lot of readers complaining about stories where characters don't talk about things and don't talk things out, and they withhold information without a good reason to. And I hear that's a problem. I know as an author, we tend to like, oh, this character's not going to tell this character, and like it like kind of like ups the drama in our heads, I think. And so, but I know a lot of readers don't even like that if it's done well, because too often it's not done well, if that makes sense. So I try not to like. The one exception I would say is if it's people not telling each other, like they're friends and they haven't confessed feelings to one another, because people are insecure about that. And to me, it makes more sense in a contemporary setting. But to me, like battle strategy and plans, like that kind of stuff should be pretty open with the group. So and that's definitely a lot of what this was. And it's like, even like future, it's not like immediate future, but it's like rest of their life plans. Whoa. That kind of stuff. And I'm like, why would you come up with this plan? And it's like, I understand why the main character didn't tell this person about it, because the other person would automatically not like it and would reject the idea. So it's like, I understand kind of why she didn't say anything, because he would not have liked it at all. That makes sense. And he wouldn't have liked what she was planning on doing. And it's like, I don't know. I felt like the side characters are what got me back into it and what kept me reading. But it's like the relationships that were developed, like the event that happens at the end of this book splits up literally every relationship that was developed within this book. That's insane. Because they're all like hating each other now. They're split. And it's like, I don't know. And I can see why she, and it's like, I don't know, like I keep writing this over and over. Love, there's like witch characters that are introduced, and eventually I'm in love with them now. I was like, when they were first introduced, I didn't know how to feel about them because it was just random. They were randomly put into the story, like in book 3 or 4. Yeah. And they weren't even really eased into it. We just got their perspective one day. Yeah. But I love them now. I love them. The side characters are so much better than the main character. that was like before the very end. I don't think it's like so much better now, but
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there was, I didn't see, it was weird because I thought that she would have, I thought what I would assume would be growth in her character.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would go back and it seems like she was doing the exact same thing over again, or she had the exact same kind of attitude with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and there were times when she would make decisions about like land and places that included that weren't even her territory.
Mm-hmm.
And she was promising these things to people. And it's like when the person that's actually responsible for that land is also amongst them.
Yeah.
And like essentially jumps onto her about it. And I'm like, I
can kind of understand the frustration there.
I'm hoping that Kingdom of Ash changes my perspective on her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too happy. I don't know. It's definitely a 4. I kind of mentioned this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of mentioned this on my own too, that for me, a 5-star book is a book that makes me want to read the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And if this one were to have followed the same characters in this one, I probably wouldn't have continued reading it.
Right. Wow, that says a lot.
But since I don't know, that's where I'm very undecisive about it. I feel like I would have given it a try. It would have been kind of like how you were with Silver Flames at the beginning. Like, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it would have been like more of a chore to read,
Mm-hmm.
which we know how that ends with my reading. If it's a chore, it doesn't end up getting read.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly how I am.
And so I'm hoping that this is going to be like a breath of fresh air a little bit, because like it doesn't even mention any of their names from any of the characters in this book. It doesn't even mention them in the blurb in this one.
Right.
And it has a completely different map.
Wow. So
it has a map of this, like it's called, there's like a place called the Southern Continent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a southern continent. And so it like shows like the map further south. So it's like a continent that we haven't seen in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's that one. And then let's see if we can do both of these at the same time. Maybe. But yeah, so it's like it's a completely different area. So there's that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, and it's like, I'm assuming it's like that.
Yeah.
Kind of. So it's like, because this is Southern Continent.
Right.
So it's like completely different location. So it's like completely different characters. And I'm assuming the characters in this one are going to come back together with the characters in this one for the final one.
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to come back together. And so I'm hoping, I don't know, it's weird because these two weren't my favorite characters from the Queen of Shadows, I think. Yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
These two weren't my favorite characters from Queen of Shadows, but I liked Queen of Shadows more than Empire Storms.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it was the fact that I had a character, like, I don't know. It was weird. Because I just felt like there was, I think I know what it is. There was more growth with the main female character in Queen of Shadows. She was addressing a lot of these skeletons from her closet from her past.
Mm-hmm.
And she was addressing a lot of that. Like one of the main ones from like earlier in this, like the beginning of the series, like the Assassin's Blade. Like she addresses a lot of the issues that she has in that book in Queen of Shadows. So it's like, it was really good. I liked like Air of Fire and Queen of Shadows were probably my 2 5-stars so far in the series.
Right.
And so she gets past all that, and we're still getting we're still like meeting we still get characters from Assassin's Blade coming back in this one, but it's like I don't know. It's just it doesn't feel political. It just feels like warfare. Like they're just moving around. They're building armies and all this other stuff. And it's like, I don't know if it just feels like a really long transitional
Yeah.
It feels like a transitional,
long
like,
bridge.
you know, you have like
from
those
one to
buffer
another.
chapters,
Yeah.
or like those chapters that you put in between your big events that are just supposed to use up time.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds horrible to say, but it literally feels like Empire Storms is meant to like use up time.
It's a
But
filler.
it's
basically.
good.
Yeah.
It's a filler, but it's a good filler. So it's not horrible. Like, I wouldn't put it on the same level as Throne of Glass because there is a lot that happens, and I'm really invested in a lot of the side characters. So I wouldn't put it on that same level. But it's like I can't put it on the same level as like Heir of Fire or Queen of Shadows. Like, those two are really good.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's, yeah.
It's definitely interesting.
And plus,
There's
we got a lot more of like the antagonist in Queen of Shadows doesn't really show up much. Well, they show up a little bit in Empire of Storms, I would have to say, but it just, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's earlier in the book. I have to remember I stopped for partway, so I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I was expecting more. I wanted to continue to. I don't know. I feel like I wanted the main character to be humbled more than she was, or more than it felt.
Yeah, I get that.
And it just like leading up to the ending scene, it's like the ending scene could definitely humble her, but it almost felt more like, I don't know. I feel like if she was written in a way, if it would have hinted at her being humbled or her showing like little spurts of growth more so throughout the book, other than just her keeping secrets, big surprise. Oh, look at this. Look at who I have now. Oh, big surprise. Look who I have now. And it just seemed like it was that same pattern.
Yeah.
Until we get to the end where we're supposed to feel sorry for her and feel like she is like, oh, the poor person, you know?
Yeah.
And it's definitely not good. Like, what happens to her at the end of the book is definitely not good. Like, it's bad. But it's like, I don't know. And so it's like, now, like, we went all the way down here. We've done all this stuff. Now we're going to go back home now. But you can't. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I'm hoping Kingdom of Ash is satisfying. That's what I'm hoping.
Since it's the final,
like,
it's the final book, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Tower of Dawn's going to be good. I'm excited for this one. Because it's funny because I've seen people that get frustrated at Kale, but then it's like, do we really have to read a book about this? It's like they'll do a meme like from like Pirates of the Caribbean where it's like, this is a jar of dirt. Is the jar of dirt going to help? If you don't want it, give it back. No. It's kind of like one of those things. Like, people like, do we have to have like a book about Kale? If you don't want to give it back. It's like, no. I don't want to give it back. You know what I'm saying? Funny. So it's like, I don't know how to feel about it. I've seen that meme for this book before. And so it's like, I'm not happy with Kale. I'm not happy about how his attitude was. But I think what happens to him is going to humble him. And I think he's going to come, like,
I'm so afraid of
come
spoilers.
to terms with who he is. Yeah. I'm being very careful about what I say. So it's like, yeah. It's not like ACOTAR where I felt like every book got better and better. Yeah. It's like, it's definitely like
a series, because usually what you see is like the first book is okay and it kind of grows as the series grows, and at least not always, but like generally that's what happens because the author's kind of getting better as they go, and also the plot line for the series is getting more and more intense. The stakes are being upped and upped and upped, and so it's rare when you have kind of a more dynamic kind of aspect. But
yeah, it's definitely getting, the stakes are getting higher and higher. Yeah. You know, but it's like at the same time, the good side and the bad side are both growing. So it's like one side's getting worse, but the other side's getting better. And so it's like both sides are building and like coming closer and closer to like this big collision course.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, my tea bag had a hole in it, so I have to try to get the little bits of tea out of my tea. That sounds kind of funny. But...
last night I put
how do you feel? Your books.
Okay, last night I put my chicken Alfredo in the crock pot, so I actually filmed a little check-in as I was doing it. It was so good. The cream cheese adds so much, and Michael does not like chicken and he does not like Alfredo, and yet he ate like half of it. He said the cream cheese for him offset the flavor of the Alfredo sauce. So it was in the crock pot, so it was like fall vibes because it's crock pot season, and I was filming, like reading as I was doing the spaghetti part, and I was reading, and so I was like really cozy and kind of into the book just because of the fall. You know, I'm reading a contemporary book kind of vibe with my crock pot, and it smelled good. Like after we got off last night, it smelled good for so many hours. I was like starving until 1:30 when I could finally eat it. So I'm actually on page 81. So I started to fall asleep and doze off, so I had to stop reading. Otherwise, I was going to try to push to like 100. I would say it's getting better. There was several scenes where the main guy, Lance, he goes to a nearby town and talks with his parents, and so you get to see his dynamics with his parents who travel a lot, and it goes into more of like his PTSD and what he has, and he still has this gut feeling that God wants him to help the main girl, Eliza, I think is her name, but he doesn't know how or why, and she doesn't like him, and he doesn't know why either, because he's just this like kind guy who kind of helps everybody in town, and like so he doesn't know what he did wrong. And on her side of things, I think she doesn't like him because he's attractive and he's good, and the whole town loves him, and that was like her ex who was abusive and controlling, and she
it's like a red flag for her.
And she also wants to like him, and so for her that's even a bigger red flag because she's like, oh, I did the same thing with Eric kind of thing. So it's a slow burn with the suspense because she keeps thinking that somebody breaks in, but she's like, it's in my head. It's my first time living alone. I'm freaking myself out. And so he runs the security firm in town, and so she has to go to him to order a security system. And at first she's like, never mind, I don't need it, because she didn't want to accept it from him. But then there's a break-in and she calls the police, but there's nothing there. And so she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to waste your time. And I'm like, I would feel so bad if I called the police and it ended up being like a false alarm. I would be so embarrassed. So I related to that. And then she decides to change her mind and do the security, like install the security system just to be safe. And so one of the other guys was there. So they're introducing the other team members, which is going to be like other book romances. So he found out later that she wanted it to be installed. And so I'm at the part where I'm assuming he's going to come by her house to install the security system. So there's not a lot of action yet, but it's like a slow burn with the suspense and the romance too, because she hates him. So, and he said that he's not interested in a relationship either. He just wants to help her. So I like that it's more of like I get this gut feeling from God, but I don't know what to do with it, because as a Christian, that's really relatable. And then there were several like Christian lines that like was really good. One, he said, prickly people need grace too. And I was like, I love that.
That's funny.
I don't want to like that, but I do. Well, at one point they were training in the ring together, him and one of the other guys, and he's like, inflating my ego will not get you a break in the ring, my friend. And I just loved the like platonic bro stuff between them. He was describing like one of the other guys and like how good he was with a computer, I think, or whatever, and it was like the man could find a needle in the haystack, even if that needle was transparent and the haystack a literal ticking time bomb. And I was like, that's a good line. I thought I like had like Christian moments too, but I thought I highlighted them, but I guess I didn't. And then for the Heart of Christmas, which I'm hoping I can get done this month too, I did only one chapter last night, so I'm 3 behind right now, which I did 10 in one night, so it's not like it's that big of a deal, but I'm kind of burning out on it. But I think my problem is I'm burning out on everything because writing is like trudging through mud right now for me, even though I'm really into the plot, and I'm actually like, he's overseas in Pakistan going after the terrorists to like get her back in where I'm writing. So it's like I should be into it, like it's really intense, but I'm I'm so burnt out. And I don't know why, but that's like trickling into like I don't want to write, I don't want to edit, I just want to read. So it's like pulling out fingernails to like do anything besides like read the book for fun.
Yeah.
So I don't have much of an update other than that.
No, you're good.
Trying to remember what I was going to say. I've been preparing for Immortals release, so I don't know if my attention's kind of shifted because I gotta make graphic. I forgot. I was thinking about Nano, so I'm like, oh my gosh, it comes out November 19th, so I'm like scrambling to do.
Oh yeah, like you're like within a few days, like So
I'm like doing this and doing that. So,
I have been like half dosing off all evening. I don't know what it is. Oh, I was like tired this morning on my plan time this morning. Like I had my audiobook. I was writing papers because midterms. Yeah. And I had the audiobook for Empire of Storms and I was playing that and listening to that while I go through and grade things. And like by the time my 8th graders came in after my plan time had ended, I was like, it's a good time they came in because I was like doing one of these things at my desk and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But I got my coffee made about that time. So I was like nursing on my coffee like when I wasn't teaching.
After I stopped reading, I watched YouTube to try to keep me awake. And I swear I remember half the video. And then the next thing I woke up and it was like I don't know if it was like an hour later, but it felt like I'd fallen asleep for a while. Yeah. Like I was just like, and then I've been having this random, like, just irritated at the world for no reason kind of vibe lately. And I have no reason to be, but it's just like, I just feel so ragey, honestly. But I'm like, just kind of.
Sometimes it's just like that.
Yeah, it happens. But
I get that. I'm yawning again. This is bad. Oh,
don't, because I yawned earlier when you were talking, and I'm like, oh. So we're gonna go back and forth.
I've been trying to hide them. That's funny. I've been trying to hide them, and it keeps coming.
Yeah, I can feel mine building back up. But so far, our October TBR, it has 3 views, and it's only been 3 hours ago. So for me, that's pretty good. We'll see how it does. Like,
there you go.
It is longer. Yeah. I know on my channel in particular, like short form content, like the shorter the better. So under 30 minutes usually does better. So it's on the longer side. But I think this month's may do better since it's like a pod, like we've been open about it being like a podcast. Mm-hmm. Oh, also, I organized my shelves yesterday because I have... Mm-hmm. I needed a binder to put Survivor in because I haven't edited it yet. I'm probably going to start it December. But all the Immortal ones and all the other ones I've been editing took up too much space, so I moved them in here. All right, well, anyways, I'll turn around kind of like that. You see all those binders back there? That's literally like the original version of Immortal, Immortal Round 1, Immortal Round 2, and all the other books we've edited. So it's taken up half my shelf in here, but I was able to get everything put away and organize things for Survivor. But I had one of the videos that I started filming it's been a year or more at this point, was can I find a 5-star read at Dollar Tree? And so I bought 3 different books that looked interesting, and I forgot I had them. So they're just in here because I want to keep them separate and not forget that these are the ones that I had from Dollar Tree. So at some point I need to finish that video and read these 3 books. But so I don't know. I'm not in the mood. So when I get in the mood, that will be a TBR at some point.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but that's pretty much it. So I think that's pretty much it for this update. We've been updating so frequently. Yeah. So we'll try to wait till the end of the week to check in with you guys next time. So
yeah, or beginning of next week or something like that.
Yeah,
we'll find time.
Yep, whenever. So see you guys next time.
All right. See ya.
I finished. I really want it to be a 5-star. I really do. I don't know how to feel about the ending. I'm very, I just finished it a few minutes ago. So I haven't had much time to just let the book settle. Because normally I don't write reviews right away. And normally I give myself some time to just kind of breathe and just kind of think things through and let the book settle before I write a big review or give my full thoughts on characters. I feel like Aelin. Elena irritated me too, but I feel like Aelin just, I don't know, her character just fell flat this book, I feel like. And it was, I don't know, she did a lot for the group, and she did a lot of behind the scenes. It was like a lot of very secretive type stuff, but it's like, I don't know, it just, I'm not used to giving my opinions and my thoughts on books this quickly, but I thought it was important to at least get my thoughts out there. Prose, I feel like this book has really, really, really strong side characters and like relationships with side characters, and it's like, honestly, it did not end with a happy ending. That's all I'm saying. And I feel like I feel more for the side characters in this particular ending than I do the main character. And it's like, I don't know. The reason why I feel so conflicted is I feel bad for her, but I'm also somewhat angry at her and this whole plot, this whole scheming thing that her cousin, and her friend come up with without really talking to anybody else. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. It was like and I can't give details because eventually Joanna might read the series. So it's like, I gotta be, it's just, I'll eventually post my full review on Goodreads and Fable. And so when I do, I'm sure we can link Goodreads profiles and stuff like that in the bottom, but I'll have to talk to Joanna. But it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it feels like a book of secrets, and it's like, normally you can write it in such a way that the reader can kind of get insight onto that kind of stuff. And it's like, we brought in a ton of people from the Assassin's Blade, which was really cool. Like, even people at the very end that I wasn't expecting to see again, I'm like, I completely forgot about. I'm like, oh, it's those people. Cool. And then a side character comes in and is like, oh, it just comes in and just kind of throws me off again. It's just, I don't know. I'm not happy with Aelin at the moment. I'm not happy with her. I'm not happy with how she plans to deal with it. I do feel like, I do still feel like there needs to be some type of like life-threatening situation in the next book, which it pretty much, like, by the end of the book, it confirmed one of my theories about what I thought was going to happen. It pretty much confirmed that. I got to the point today where they confirmed that. And so it's just, I don't know. It's just like everything is set in place, but now they have to play rescue, and it's just, I don't know. I'm hoping the Tower of Dawn puts me in a better mood and makes this feel a little bit more fulfilling, because I'm just, I don't know. I didn't give it a 5-star because I didn't feel like, oh, this, like, I'm still not excited to read the last book, Kingdom of Ash. I'm still not excited to read it. And that's one of those things that if Tower of Dawn wasn't from a completely different perspective, I don't know if I would continue reading the series. But that's how uncertain I am about this series, which is weird because typically every series that I've read, when I'm getting the mood for it, I'm like all over the place, really like wanting to just read. And that's how it was with ACOTAR. As soon as I got back into it, like, I finished reading it like so quickly. And it's like, this series, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't. It's just so strange. It's just the strangest feeling. And I think I'm glad Tower of Dawn is from Chael's perspective and not Aelin or Rowan or any of the others, or Dorian or any of the others. I'm glad it's from Chael's perspective, because I don't think I would continue with the series if it wasn't. I think I would stop. And I think getting a little bit of a break from the chaos that is the end of this book and how it sets things up, I don't know. I struggle, like, when reading books, I struggle with really intense situations. Like, and I feel like when I read books, if a character's feeling an emotion, I'll feel that, say, like, I will empathize enough with the character that I feel like I feel how they feel. And it's like, if it's a super intense situation, then I'm like completely struggling to get to just keep going. And I've noticed that there's a couple times in this book where, like, I was reading and listening to Audible, or I was grading papers and listening to Audible and reading it, like listening to it and reading it. And there's a couple times where I was actually having to like get up and head out to come home because had stayed after school to grade papers. And like I had increased the speed several times to get through that chunk of a chapter, that section of the chapter, because it was too intense for me. And it's not like it's not, I'm fine with gore, I'm fine with blood, I'm fine with spicy stuff, I'm fine with not fine with spicy stuff, that makes me uncomfortable, so I usually try to skip that stuff. But it's like, if it's mild enough, I can kind of glaze over it, no issues. But it's like, it's just, there are certain things that if it's like a really intense confrontation, which I'm not good at in real life either, but if it's like really intense confrontation, or if it's like somebody's being injured or hurt, or they're on the brink of death, I don't know, I don't do well with it. And there was a couple moments in here. I don't know, I just felt like I started with prose and then I got off on this tangent. Prose are the side characters. The side characters really led the story on. Like, they are the ones that held this, like, that just, they are the MVPs of this book. I'm disappointed at how secretive the main characters and the main character was, and her inner circle was at times. I also feel like it's so annoying because you get a glimmer of, and it's like there's moments where I think that she's grown as a character, and then there's other times where she just goes back to doing the exact same thing that she's done the entire book, and it's proven time after time after time not to solve anything. And it's like she does it again, and then she gets herself into this point where it's like, okay, are we going to have another book with you as a character in it, or is this it? And it's like, and I feel like as a reader, I'm supposed to be sad and feel empathy and just feel horrible that she's in this situation. But all I can do is be angry at her, because I feel like there could have been so many situations or so many decisions that she could have changed to affect the outcome of where she ended up at. And I get that she did it for a specific reason. And it's like, but when you're involving other people, other side characters into it, and it's affecting more people than just you and, say, like 2 other people, you need to include those people in those discussions. And I guess that's just me, a real life thing. I'm getting irritated. I can't give this a 5-star just because I don't. It's really hard. I'm not giving it a 5-star. I'm giving it a 4. I loved it too much to not give it a 3 or below, because that's when I'm like, if it's a 3, that means it wasn't horrible, it wasn't great, and I just read it to read it. I read it because I knew there was another next book that I really wanted to get to that was better. If it's like a 2 or a 1, that means that I did not like the book, and it was a real challenge to get through it. It wasn't a challenge per se, because once I got into it, I just needed to get back into the series. And once I got back into it, I was fine. And the side characters are what got me into it. No joke. And so I would say the side characters are a real strength in this book. Main character growth, not so much. I can see hints of it at the end of the book with the intentions that you see and mysteries that are somewhat revealed in the book. And it's like, I can see where it's trying to hint at character growth, but I don't agree with all of the decisions that she makes. And it's like, it's making it hard to love her as a character. And I empathize. I have empathy for her. No problem at all. But it's like, I just struggling to like her. And so I'm still wondering at the end of Kingdom of Ash if Sarah is going to pull a typical Sarah J. Maas ending like she did with ACOTAR and have them live happily ever after, or if she's going to let some characters cease to exist. So we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of literally my initial, like my first thoughts after finishing Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I would say Throne of Glass is still the lowest rating. It just felt really slow compared to everything else. Let's see. Assassin's Blade was a 5-star. Crown of Midnight, Queen of Midnight, Crown of Midnight, I think was a 4, maybe. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. And then Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows were both 5. This one's a 4. So we'll see. I'm excited to start reading Tower of Dawn because I'm very curious to see. I want to like Chaol again. I need that redemption arc from him. So I'm excited to get started. So, all right. Review and update and getting started. My hair is literally atrocious. Look at that. It's crazy. Okay. It's 6:00 at night. We're fine. All right. See ya.
Hey guys, so I think this is my week 2 check-in for the November TBR video. So this is my week 2 check-in. It may be my first or second one. I know me and Hannah did one, so it's probably my second check-in or third, something like that. But I wanted to update you guys. So it's November 15th for me because I haven't gone to bed yet, and it's 2:45 a.m. You guys know how that works. So I just finished reading Pages of Promise. So for those of you who are watching, I'm showing the cover, Pages of Promise by Jessica Ashley. I finished it. So that's the second book out of my November TBR list that I've completed. So the first one was the first one was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. That was 1. Pages of Promise by Jessica Ashley was 2. And then my third one to keep myself motivated to edit was The Heart of Christmas, which is my own book, which was just to motivate me to edit. And as you guys can see, I've made a lot of progress. So I've edited this much. I only have this much to go. So there isn't too many stories left. Basically there's like less than 20 stories left. So I probably will get this done, which means I will finish my November TBR list. My goal is to maybe finish it this week. We'll see what happens. And then I had Throne of Glass as a bonus. Like if I get it done this month, then that's fantastic. I get bonus points for brownie points. But if not, it's not like officially on my TBR list. So here's the thing. Now that I've finished Pages of Promise, I just filmed my review. And I also wrote my review and posted it everywhere. And this video for our November TBR list is likely going to be the first one on our new channel. We're creating a new channel for this podcast, which is our book podcast that we're going to call Pins and Paperbacks. So our November TBR video is not going to be on my channel. It's likely going to be on our new channel. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. So with that in mind, well, where was I going with that? My review video for Pages of Promise and for The Serpent and the Wings of Night won't be out either way. It won't be out until January, probably, because we're not posting our November TBR video until we finish November, which means it'll be the second Tuesday in December, and it will likely be on our new channel. So I won't be reviewing these on my main channel until January. So be looking out for those. If you guys are watching this, I'll try to have them as a premiere So go check out my review. If you wanted my review, check out my channel. I will have them up as soon as I can. So with that in mind, since once I finish The Heart of Christmas, my November TBR list is officially done, and it's this 15th, so I'm not even halfway through November yet. I could start Throne of Glass, see if I could get it done, and listen to the audiobook, see if that doesn't help. Or I could go ahead and start the short novel that's between Serpent and the Wings of Night and the second book in that series, so I can do that one and then do the next book in that series. Or I could continue reading this series. So I did do my review, but I always like checking in with you guys. So Pages of Promise, you guys know when I started this, I was kind of in the Serpent and the Wings of Night. Like I was in a fantasy mood, even though when I started that one, I was in a military romantic suspense mood. This one really got good, and it balanced out the romance with the suspense moments, and it was also clean because it's Christian, so there was no spice. It was still really intense, and the suspense plot line had twists that I didn't see coming. So that's always a good thing. So I rated this 4 stars. It was really good. I did a lot of note taking, which I may or may not go through with Hannah when we check in, because we have a lot of different subjects to touch into the next time we check in, so that's gonna be fun. But either way, it was really good, and it got me excited for the next few books in the series. So I don't actually know what I want to read for fun this month. And then the other thing is I really want to do a blind date with a book challenge. I've mentioned it to Hannah. I don't know if she's gonna be interested in doing it with me at some point or not, which would be fine if she did, but I could potentially do that on my own, which would be another fun video for my channel, which is where you put all your books that you want to read into like a basket, or I like to just write their titles down and pull that out of a container, or you could write all the titles down in a wheel and let it spin and choose for you. But the point is, you don't know what you're going to read, so it's like a blind book date. So I could do that to decide what I want to read next, or I could just keep reading the series because I'm really into that. And I also, with my writing, because I'm writing a Christian military romantic suspense right now, and I did start praying about, like, I was really like trudging through mud, like everyday writing was like trudging through mud, so it was really difficult. And I did start praying about it, and once I started praying about it more, because I usually do pray about my books, and I did, but like I prayed more about it and like asking God to help me get through the sludge if like with writing, and that worked. But also at the same time, I think it did help that I was reading this book and kind of not really pulling inspiration, because they're not really like, there's the same genre, but the whole plot line and the characters are vastly different. But it's just the simple act of just being excited and reading kind of like just makes you feel creative. And so that could have also helped contribute to that as well. So it could be a good thing for me to keep reading the series, because it could keep the momentum, help me with my momentum, so to speak. But I actually just wanted to pull up the series on Amazon to like read the blurbs, and this may be a longer check-in video than I should be doing, but this is going to be our official podcast, our bookish podcast. So I'm excited. So I'm going to pull those up and then read the blurbs and then see what I feel like doing, because I'll be reading this series in order. So it'll be book 2 in this series, or Throne of Glass, not reading and playing video games, or The 6 Scorched Roses, which is the short novella after Serpent and the Wings of Night. I do have a few other books that I want to read that are standalone fantasy, but if I'm going to read fantasy, I want to go back to the Serpent and the Wings of Night series, Crowns of Naxi, I think it's called. So if I'm going to do fantasy, that's what I'm going to do. Unless it's Throne of Glass, because I do need to read that. Where is the series list for this thing? There we go. Coastal Hope is what this is called. Here we go. So this is the next book in the series. The blurb says, she's running from her past, he's haunted by his. After a sudden death of her grandmother, Andy Montgomery finally returns home. It's the last place she wants to be, especially when she discovers her grandmother has left her house not just to Andy, but to a handsome yet grumpy former Army Ranger. Dealing with him is the last thing she wants to do, but when someone tries to kill her, he risks his life to save hers. After making a deathbed promise, Army Ranger Elijah Breath is pulled into danger alongside the cold, unfeeling woman he swore to protect. And the only clue they have as to who is after Andy is a box of letters left beneath her grandmother's bed. As Elijah digs deeper into Andy's past, he begins to realize that the dark-haired beauty is more than she seems, and her secrets might just be enough to bury them both. So if you're looking for a sizzling but not spicy, enemies to lovers, romantic suspense with a protective yet flawed Christian hero, a small town that protects their own, and a team of wounded veterans scientists turned private security officers, then Searching for Peace is for you. So the Christian romantic suspense deals with coping with neglect, pushing through trauma, healing from predatory grooming, forgiving yourself, and seeking God in everything. So it's Searching for Peace, because this was Pages of Promise. So that sounds pretty good. Elijah is set up as a friend of Lance, Lance is the main character in Pages of Promise, so Elijah's been set up as a friend with his, so we get to know a little bit about Elijah in that book, enough to kind of get me interested. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided anything. I know I feel really icky, so I kind of just want to sleep, but it's not bedtime yet, so I don't know what I'm going to read yet. I will check in with you guys next time. Real quick, this is another check-in with my November TBR, same week 2, November 15th, that whole thing. I sort of started the next book in the series, which this one is called Searching for Peace. I don't have the cover, but I'm already on page 33. I love the premise of this story and the characters and how they've both been set up already. Like, I'm liking this almost better than the first one immediately. Not that the first one was bad, but just this one's even better. So far, it starts off with a funeral. So this woman whom the main guy character, Elijah, considers a grandmother, even though she's not by blood, she died. So it's a funeral and they have to go through her stuff and her will, and her granddaughter finally comes back into town and she didn't go see her grandmother, so he really hates her. And the funeral, the losing the grandmother, I lost my grandmother. So a lot of the things is like so relatable, and I've almost cried like multiple times, and I'm only on page 33. So it hits really hard, but it's also taken from a Christian perspective, and she's coming back into town for the funeral, and he obviously doesn't like her because she didn't show up much in the grandmother's life. And she has assumptions about him that he just was kind to her kind of after the grandmother's money. So they both have really negative assumptions about each other that I don't think is true on either side, but it's just a really interesting setup. On top of, I don't even know what the suspense plot line is yet, but I'm just honestly hooked from like, it's so relatable that I'm really, I don't know, I'm just really touched by both of the characters already. And I love just both of their characters. Like, Elijah is really different from Lance. He's an introvert. He doesn't talk to people. Like, Lance was like the guy who'd go around helping everybody. Elijah doesn't like to talk to anybody. He is really grumpy. And he has kind of a very brooding, like, personality, just not when he interacts with like Michael and Lance. And I love the bro relationships, the brotherly relationships between all of the army guys, so that's really cool. And then she's like the successful fashion person from New York, and again, she came back for her grandmother's funeral, but she has a really deep backstory that's kind of being opened up to. And of course, Elijah was wounded in that deployment that the 3 guys had gone through, where they lost their whole team. So that was brought up in Lance's book. But like, basically, I'm just really enjoying the book, and I'm already 12% through it. So I'm going to keep reading. That's my check-in. This is an amazing book.